What about observing the data that do end up in the final trials? The published results in the New England Journal of Medicine focused only on the first aspect, the number of people that got COVID in the vaccinated versus the placebo group. What they did not focus on was the overall result, which showed that deaths were more in the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. The Physicians for Informed Consent pointed a study of the trials that showed that for every 2 COVID-19 hospitalizations prevented, 10 serious vaccine adverse events occurred. In other words, the trials themselves showed clear evidence of harm, not help.
There's something called pharmacovigilance. In other words, we have to monitor what happens after a vaccine is on the market, whether it's approved fully or through an emergency use authorization. This is where the VAERS database comes in, Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Food and Drug Administration have many safety monitoring systems to make sure every vaccine is as safe as possible. One of these systems is VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. VAERS accepts reports from anyone, patients, parents, caregivers, and healthcare providers. Healthcare providers are required to report certain adverse events after vaccination. VAERS studies reports of possible health problems, also called adverse events, after vaccination. VAERS can't prove a vaccine caused a problem, but it acts as an early warning system to help CDC and FDA decide whether a potential safety issue exists. VAERS reports patterns that warn scientists of possible health problems that might need more study. Vaccine safety experts look for unusually high numbers of health problems or a pattern of problems after people get a particular vaccine.
As I have asked 2 of my physicians if they had reported a VAERS reports, they have told me no.
Were you able to talk with the doctor or doctors that administered these injections and say, hey, is there any connection? Did they acknowledge what you were experiencing?
No, I actually got mine at the health department and I reported an adverse event and they told me to contact VAERS, which I did, and reported my own event. No doctors would report my event to VAERS.
And again, the first time you see it, you tend to be in denial. One of the surgeons, we had a patient that needed surgery, but had sudden heart failure, weakening of the heart, and they had asked, could this be from the shot? And I'm like, well, certainly. We know it causes myocarditis, can certainly cause heart failure. It made sense in terms of the timeline, but they were friends with the surgeons, and the surgeon said, no, it's not related at all. So there's still that kind of denial, even though it's been reported in the news and no other explanation for it.
In order for the system to be of real use, the CDC is supposed to analyze the data. It had promised to conduct the PRR analysis to identify adverse events that raise an alarm. This would have also cleared up any spurious data and generate proper feedback on the vaccine program. So let us check what became of this analysis. A Freedom of Information Act request was sent to the agency to disclose all the data analysis done on the data obtained from VAERS. And what was the answer from the CDC? Shockingly enough, the CDC had, contrary to its promise, done no analysis of the safety signals at all. Not only that, it also declared that it cannot do any data mining and passed off the responsibility to the FDA. And the FDA, in turn, refuses to provide a safety analysis. Since the agencies were passing the buck around, individual citizens recently took the initiative and used freedom of information, again, to obtain the PRRs. Anything above PRR 2 shows that the COVID vaccines enhance the side effect more than all other vaccines. They received data that showed a PRR of about 31 for strokes, 33 for heart valve issues, 105 for breakthrough COVID-19, and most importantly, 5.86 for death. These are damning safety numbers for any vaccine. No wonder the agencies refused to look.